guys, this is the Movie Beat Talks. My name is Tyler. I'm here with
Mellow Mike. What's up?
All right, we have something kind of interesting today for you guys. We are going to give you a little, we're going to call it the Korean New Wave Starter Pack. All right, this is for people who are interested in, getting into Korean cinema and not really sure where to start.
Now, the reason why we're doing this actually is a lot of people have been asking us, hey, I want to get into Korean film. What movie should I start with? Or,
yeah, give me one. Give me one recommendation.
Just give me one. And to be honest, we got sick of telling the people it's the same thing over and over. So might as well just make a video and share our list with you guys.
Yeah, so we're going to point people to this video in the future. And so...
let me ask you something. So first, for the viewers and the listeners, what is Korean New Wave?
Okay, so we're going to call the Korean New Wave a period in time that Korean cinema, what we're going to call like modern Korean cinema, really found its own and began to actually dominate in the domestic box office in Korea. Also, obviously, with the quality of the films that started coming out, started gaining worldwide recognition.
Yeah, so these films were like really popular in Korea back in the days, and from what I remember, really well made.
Yeah,
I'm sure like Tyler would agree with me. They kind of overtook Hollywood when it comes to filmmaking. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely, and it's actually reflected in the box office return of the domestic Korean films. Forever before the Korean New Wave started, only Hollywood films were dominating, and then there was a period of time that was basically around 1998-99 that all of a sudden you would look at the box office in Korea and it's majority Korean films, the top.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, kind of a new world started over here in Korea. So for those that are interested, we're going to give you guys a 10?
Top 10.
Top 10. These, after watching these, you should be ready for anything that Korea has to, offer in terms of cinema, we think.
Now, there's a disclaimer. Now, these films are not our favorite Korean films. These are...
We do like them, though.
Of course, we love them, but these are more of a recommendation of where to begin, like what movies to start off with to get into Korean cinema.
Yeah, we're really hoping that these movies will show Korea, the kind of the mannerism, the culture, some modern and a little bit older look and feel to just get acclimated to this world over here, because a lot of things are different and it takes a few to get adjusted.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's start off. Okay?
All right, we're going to start off with this is one of the biggest in terms of historically Korean films that began to dominate. This was pretty much the one, and I'm also picking this as my first film because this is what got me into Korean cinema. It just so happened to be the one of 2 or 3 VHS copies we had at the video store that I was working at.
Going back in time to VHS?
Yeah, this
wow.
is we might have had one DVD. But this movie is called Shiri, S-H-I-R-I. After watching this, my curiosity for what was possible in this part of the world just opened up, and I just went into the internet and started researching as much as I could to get into Korean cinema. This has drama, this has action, this has political thriller. It's about North Korea, South Korea, there's spies. Just was a crazy blending of genres. When the credits were rolling, I had no idea what I just watched. I knew it was something special. Instant rewatch. So, I have to say...
When did this movie come out? What year?
This was 99, I believe.
99. So it was like pretty much the beginning of the new
yeah,
wave.
I believe this was actually the first one that took top spot at the box office. Before it was like they were creeping up, and at this point, I think it just totally blew Titanic away.
So this film beat Titanic in domestic box office.
I believe so.
Wow, that's a big achievement.
It's a big achievement, and from this point, the next 4 or 5, 6 years forward, it was all Korean films in Korea as far as, box office was concerned. So this one did it for me, and I consider myself a pretty big Korean movie buff. So if it did it for me, I think it'll do it for other people. So it's a good starter point. It's got some, Western-looking action as far as I was really into, SWAT team, CIA type, undercover stuff, and it has some of that. And it's not too. There is a lot of political type topic.
Well, I mean, this movie was so big. Like when I was in New York at that time, my parents actually watched this as well. So I mean, they rented it on VHS.
It was a rental.
It was definitely a rental. I mean, back in the day, we didn't go to Blockbuster. We had to go to like a Korean rental house, right? And they would have all these Korean movies and stuff, and they actually rented Shiri. I remember watching it with them, and I was just like, wow, that's a great movie. And I think that's how I kind of got started into really getting into Korean films as well.
Okay, cool. So, yeah, this one, maybe a lot of people, this is what it did it for them. So, that's my number one.
Excellent
starter pack.
Okay. So, my number one on the list is going to be JSA, which is Joint Security Area. Now, if you don't know what Joint Security Area is, it's pretty much like it's the border between North and South Korea. And it's this one area where they kind of like face each other, and they do a stare down.
They're pretty close. Right? So this movie was directed by Park Chan-wook, who's done the Vengeance trilogy, Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance, Lady Vengeance, and of course he did Old Boy. I believe that this is a great movie to start off with, just to start off with a Park Chan-wook film as well, not just a Korean New Wave, because it actually shows his talent as a filmmaker. You like those other Vengeance trilogy movies, I think it gets kind of crazy, and he gets very creative in making those films. But for JSA, it's like he made a straightforward film, like a drama with, there's times where you're going to laugh. There's times where you're going to be like so, and like there's tense moments between like these characters. And it also has Lee Byung-hun, who's a great actor in Korea. Yeah, those are like the two big names in Korea right now. They make fantastic films, and their acting just shine throughout the whole movie. This movie was in the year 2000, so it's still like the beginning of the Korean New Wave. I mean, what do you think about JSA? Yeah, I think this is also a really good pick because in Korea, military service is mandatory for all men who are able for 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, because Korea is still at a state of war right now, right?
So this was, it opened up, to that aspect of just these guys, were kind of typical. Well, I think they're a little above average if they get that position, but basically they're just security, and they're sitting on the border, and the relationship that ensues between the North and the South because of the proximity. It really opened up my eyes to what maybe even more curious what's going on in Korea, and so it also has that political element.
But one thing that really stuck out was like this movie, this director, he took like such a stale moment where it's just like a security area to just North and South Korea just staring at each other. They're at a standoff.
Yeah, they're basically the guys that just sit in the cubicle.
Yeah, but he made
most boring job ever.
Most boring job ever, but he made it a great,
it's a
great movie.
Gripping thriller drama.
So definitely recommend JSA.
Yeah, that was. I would say Park Chan-wook is probably Korea's #1 director.
Golden child.
Yeah. Okay, my second film from the New Wave has an actress that I think many people are familiar with. She's super popular still today. You can see her in TV commercials. Was the chicken advertisements.
Chicken advertisement, makeup advertisement.
Yeah, she's in a lot of stuff. Jun Ji-hyun. She was in a drama with... can't remember the other actor right now, but this movie was remade. Actually, it's so good that it was remade for Hollywood, called The Lake House. but
never seen it.
I don't recommend it. This is Il Mare. Il Mare, I believe it's an Italian title, but the Korean title translates to The Sea. And this is a drama that it's I would say it's a romantic, but more of a drama.
Mm-hmm.
It really transcends time, space, very original screenplay, very well acted. I love the mood of this movie. This is one that I can really pop in on, any rainy day and just really get into. It introduced me to these actors. Love the style. It made me not be so hesitant as to watching like a romantic drama film. Mm-hmm. Before I was like, not interested. Whoa, so this is a new spin on it.
What made you like this film compared to I don't want to watch those romantic dramas, but what was so special about this film?
I think what makes me not like the typical romantic dramas, I always think they're full of cliches. They're all the same. This one was just written in such a creative, original way that I thought, wow, I didn't know this type of movie could be made so originally, creatively.
So there was nothing like this ever done before, story-wise?
Not that I had seen. And I believe that's why they purchased it to remake it in the States, because they're like, this is a special movie, this is a special story. But also one reason I wanted to pick this was because Korea is really famous for its melodrama, as far as TV dramas, and they're pretty much the masters of it. And when it comes to film, they also do it pretty well, although people can get a little bored sometimes. Mm-hmm. Never a dull moment in this one. I think just the acting and writing is so strong with the mood and everything. So
what year was this?
I believe this was also 2000.
2000? Okay.
Yeah.
So we're still early.
We're still really early.
But I think the start of the Korean wave, all these writers and directors, they really took it up a notch when it comes to creativity and stuff like that. They started experimenting. I think what happened was they kind of learned what Hollywood was doing, and then they kind of put their own twist into creativity and stuff.
They really figured out what they had to do in order to beat Hollywood, because they weren't going to do it as far as budget was concerned.
Yeah,
they had budget restrictions.
They can't compete with the budget.
So they went all in with originality and as far as the script and just the style of the movie to make it stand out.
But when you watch these movies, it feels like a big budget movie.
Yeah, you would never believe the budget when you were told. You got to be kidding me. Yeah, really low.
So let's go to my second choice. Is a film that I loved. I watched 10 times. It's called Chingu, or Friend. It's a 2001 film about just 4 friends who grew up and how their choices in life kind of reflected on their current situation. I think that's the best way to put it without giving you guys any more spoilers. But this was a film that took place in the 1970s, around 70s. That's when Korea was not what it was like. It's not like today. It's not modern. It wasn't modern. It was actually
wasn't as free.
Yeah, it was very. They were poor, and this actually took place
strict government control.
Exactly right, and it took place in the south too. So. Pretty much the countryside of Korea. So watching this film, I actually watched it the second time I watched it with my dad, and he loved this film because it was his hometown, and he was like, "Oh, I remember that. I remember this." It was actually filmed on location too, so it brought back a lot of memories to him, and he loved that film as well. What do you think about that? I don't want to give away a lot of stuff.
When I first saw Chingu, or Friend, I remember I was most impressed with just the visual elements of it. It looked so foreign to me. I'd never really seen anything that looked like that. Korea in the 70s, with the school uniforms are unique looking. The streets are unique looking. The school structure was unique when they actually... Because these friends, they go through high school, university, and then when they're getting to older. There's a lot of gangster elements.
This is a gangster
I
film.
would pretty much, I would describe it as a gangster film. I'd never seen gangs worked in that manner. Korea has no guns, so there's a lot of mob fights.
Yeah, it's a numbers game in Korea when it comes to like gang and like mob fights. A lot of sticks,
Baseball
knives,
bats,
baseball bats, shovels, whatever they could get their hands on. It brings a different element when it comes to like street fights. Like when you watch a Western gang movie, it's all about like shooting people up, drive-by, Tommy guns, like back in the days. But like in Korean gangster films, it's up close and personal with all these hand-to-hand combat, which brings a different element into that movie.
And the way that you would film that scene has a totally different feel.
Exactly.
With the editing.
You feel like you're part, you feel those punches, you feel the knife stabs. It's a great film. I truly recommend Chingu. And another thing about Chingu is I think the director and he's the director writer. It's based on his like experience when he was growing up. So you could feel like his heart was into it when he was writing and directing this film.
Yeah, this movie definitely shows a special aspect of Korea that I think is a good starter for getting into Korea films. Having that look already in your mind. Moving on, I'm gonna pick my number 3 film. My Sassy Girl. This is a comedy.
Great film.
This is, same actress as my number 2, Jun Ji-hyun. So she went from Ilmer to My Sassy Girl, kind of a slower drama, a little sad film, to one of the funniest, upbeat, also has some sad moments. I think this film was remade.
Yes,
in
the
America.
States.
Yeah.
Don't recommend it.
Yeah, of course not. Stay away from all the remakes. This was one that you could tell a friend back in the early 2000s, hey, I watched a Korean film. You're never going to believe how good it was. And if you had like a bootleg copy or something, you could, just trust me. You hand it to your friend. They give it back a couple days later and they just, wow.
Yeah.
More of that, please.
Yeah, exactly. They'll ask for more, right? Yeah.
This shows modern day Seoul, younger relationships. I mean, just incredible writing. The director and writer of this movie went on to do some other films that were huge successes. Also kind of romantic. He's still working today. He's got a couple out recently. But My Sassy Girl just was the kind of the nail in the coffin for me that like I knew I was a Korean film buff after watching this. Never before could I say that one of my favorite movies was a romantic comedy. Until I saw this movie. When did you see this one?
I saw it a little bit after it came out. I don't recommend you guys getting bootleg copies or anything, but I did get a bootleg copy.
Back in the day, we had
to. That's the only way, right? So, actually, same thing. A friend gave it to me and watched it, loved it.
This was very a word of mouth movie.
Yeah, and not a lot of people knew about it. But the people who knew about it loved it, right?
We're definitely speaking from overseas, of course. This was huge in Korea.
It's huge in Korea, but like Tyler's from
Washington.
You were in Washington. I was from New York. Word of mouth, right?
Yeah.
And cool fact about this one as well is like the author director, he actually wrote pretty much like a diary online. Like a web blog.
It's like a web series, I think.
Yeah, about him dating this girl and meeting this girl, and it's pretty much the movie, right? So if you think about it, if you watch the movie and you kind of picture like this happening in real life, you'll be like, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, I think the direct translation is like bizarre her.
Yeah.
It's about this girl, she's very unique, and she's got an attitude, but she's sassy, I guess. But yeah, this was every blog that you would go on that talked about Korean cinema back in the day. This was considered a must-watch by everybody. 2001, I believe.
2001?
Yeah.
Okay. My next movie on my list is 2005. So
moving on.
Kind of jumping ahead. The movie is called Crying Fist. I think the Korean title is 주먹이 운다. It's a boxing movie, but not really a boxing movie. I don't know how to explain that without giving away too much.
Boxing is the backdrop.
Exactly. The boxing is a backdrop of what's really going on in this movie. Basically, it's about two boxers, but it's their different perspective on what's going on in their lives. And at the at the end of the movie, there's boxing.
There's some boxing in the middle too.
There's some boxing in the middle too, but it's a great film. One thing that stands out about this movie is how they portrayed these two boxers in a way where you care for both of them, right? Usually when you have like two characters in a movie, like two main characters, let's just say.
Especially in like boxing.
Exactly. You always have a favorite. You want this person to win.
It's a good guy and a bad guy.
Yeah, exactly. Even like Rocky versus Rocky and all the Rocky movies, you always root for Rocky. You never... Actually, I rooted for Mr. T because I love Mr. T. But this movie, you actually you want to root for both of them because of how their character was developed throughout the whole film. They did a fantastic job. The writing, hats off to the writing.
I absolutely loved how they built both of these characters' stories up equally. And they just go kind of back and forth, building up their own stories. And then when they have to clash at the end, your heart is just devastated.
Exactly.
Because there is no favorite,
It's an emotional roller coaster watching this movie. And
for me, this movie is so good that every time I watch it, I forget how it ends. Because it's such an even film between these two guys. They're, you can't say, oh, there's a winner. Rocky, of course, he's a winner in the end. He's going to win. This is one where you just, every time, emotional roller coaster. Visuals are amazing. This is director Ryu Sung-won, really coming into his own. His younger brother, one of the actors, Ryu Sung-bum, is one of the parts. Another huge powerhouse actor, probably one of Korea's greatest, Jae Min-sik.
Yeah.
Old boy, same actor. He plays the other character. So, yeah, this is a crowd pleaser for sure. A lot of people love this one too.
Just prepare yourself to be emotionally drained afterwards because it's
your heart's gonna feel like that crying fist.
Yeah, you will definitely feel that. But I definitely recommend it. Crying Fist. It's number 3 on my list.
Good pick. Okay, I'm gonna pick Memories of Murder as my number 4 pick. This is director Bong Joon-ho. You guys might know him from one of his recent films like Okja that just got released or Snowpiercer.
He's breaking into Hollywood.
Yeah, he's doing it very well. He's got an interesting approach that he's taking. I'm loving it. This movie I would consider, if I had to pick, it just so happens to be on our starter pack list, but I also consider this a masterpiece of Korean cinema.
I agree.
Crime, mystery, based on a true story, a true event that did happen, I believe, in the 80s in Korea. Serial killer. There's some murders, and they're looking for the murderer. And some of the incompetence that happens on the police side, and just the way that they broke down the investigation. Whoa, this is one of those movies that you don't really know what is the best part because it's also good. The acting, Song Kang-ho is in it. When I saw it in 2003, for sure, this guy was my favorite Korean actor.
He was in a lot of movies.
He was in a lot of my favorites. And the writing, the music, there's so much about this movie that just makes it a total masterpiece in my opinion. And it's going to be a little bit different genre that you guys have experienced before. So with some of my previous picks, it shows a little bit of modern Korea. Some of Mike's we've got like in the 70s of Korea. This is in the 80s. So, you're going to get a good kind of broad picture of kind of the build-up to what we would consider, modern
cinema.
Modern Korean cinema. So, I just can't say enough good stuff about this movie.
Yeah, this was like a really famous incident in Korea. These murders and stuff like that. There was a lot of like spin-offs.
I think it's the most famous unsolved murder case.
Exactly,
Okay.
and there was, I think there was like plays and stuff about this, but definitely my favorite version is Memories of Murder.
Mm.
It's such a well like written movie where I call it the blueprint of how to make a crime drama. Right?
Yeah.
They did it so well, so perfect. Where at the end of the movie, you're just like, wow, that was a great film.
And sometimes just not being Korean myself, I don't know how Korean people view the cinema the same way that I'm watching it, and so I'm like, oh, this is my favorite, and maybe it's considered kind of trashy in Korea. This one is universally respected. Every Korean person I talk to can also consider this just one of their masterpieces of modern times.
But if this is like a little plus, like an extra, if you know Korean, it takes it up a notch. I don't know how to explain it because the way they use the Korean language in this film, it's a lot of cursing and stuff like that. It's just beautiful. It sounds very natural.
The detectives in this are very well written characters and very unique.
Excellent choice. Excellent choice.
I want to watch it right now.
I actually rewatched it recently.
Yeah.
Beautiful movie. The fourth movie on my list it's one of my favorites.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites, and like Tyler mentioned, Memories of Murder. It's one of his favorites as well. This one is one of my favorites. Definitely recommend you guys watch this as a starter pack. It's Bittersweet Life, with Lee Byung-hun again. He's one of my favorite actors in Korea. He's
definitely one of my favorites too.
He's really good.
Yeah.
If you guys don't know who he is, he's also in Red 2. He also plays Storm Shadow in G.I. Joe. He's in a lot of.
I think he's in the new Terminator.
Yeah, he's in one of the new Terminators. He's like the best Korean actor.
He's crossing
right
over.
Yeah. So this movie is pretty much like it's another gangster movie. If you don't know, I like gangster movies. And basically, it's just like one bad decision and the effects of it. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about that. One bad decision and the effects of it, and you go through this ride.
Or would you even say just one decision?
Actually,
and its consequences.
One decision and its consequences, and it's such a simple idea, but you go through this whole ordeal like with him, and I was at the edge of my seat the whole time. I was like, what's going to happen next? What's going to happen next? Highly recommended. Beautifully shot movie. The pacing was perfect. Gangsters.
Yeah, this is director Kim Ji-woon, who is pretty much considered Korea's genre stylist maestro. He's so good with genre films. He's made a Western, he's made a horror, he's made action. He crossed over. He did a movie in the States, The Last Stand.
Yes, with Arnold.
Arnold.
Yeah.
So he's definitely one of Korea's most innovative stylists, I would say. And yeah, Bittersweet Life. Ooh, just everything comes together. And in one of our favorite genres, just crime, gangster, revenge type, which Korea does better than anybody.
Agree.
Yeah, and this is just a prime example.
Okay.
My last pick is going to be probably my go-to favorite film that I like to tell Korean people when I meet them, just to kind of throw them off a little bit. This one is the prime example of the way that Koreans found a way to innovate and combine genres and just original script ideas to really distinguish themselves from the rest of the world and what was going on. This movie is called Save the Green Planet.
Now let's put an emphasis on original.
This is probably still one of the most original movies I've seen. I guess until I saw maybe The Lobster a couple years back. Yeah, this one is sci-fi, comedy, drama, horror, action, suspense. I mean, it's got everything. One of my favorite Korean actors, who's also in a movie we mentioned earlier, JSA. Shin Ha-gyun is the main actor, who is convinced that the CEO of a company is an alien. And he thinks he has some inside knowledge, and he kidnaps him and tries to get, the truth out of him. I constantly think about this movie, even though I first saw it more than 10 years ago. It's just, and my number one most wanted Blu-ray in a nice edition. I don't even know if this is available on Blu-ray anywhere. And if it is available,
I've never seen it.
If it is available, somebody please tell me how to get a hold of it and where to find it, because wow, the music in this is another amazing highlight. I got the soundtrack as well immediately.
You bought a soundtrack?
The soundtrack is, I have the soundtrack to this, Old Boy, JSA, a couple others. Mm-hmm. Everything about this movie just makes it so original, and I've actually shown this to a couple people, some unsuspecting people, and immediately after watching they said, what else do you got? Because this just, it's just so original.
I mean, original films are the best, because you don't know what you're getting yourself into.
This was very
what year
highly...
Was that? What year was
2003, I
2003?
believe.
Okay.
This was very highly acclaimed as far as critics are concerned, but just for whatever reason, I don't know if it was timing or maybe it was a little too genre combining that Korean people didn't go out and see it, and it kind of lasted maybe 2 weeks in the theaters, disappeared. But this was one that, came up on a lot of critics, top film of the year lists back then.
I think it could have been like, Koreans were so into like those gangster films, romantic comedies, romantic drama. And when you hear a title like Save the Green Planet, and the log line is, you think your CEO is an alien.
Yeah, it's almost too out there, but just as far as genre films are concerned, it doesn't get much better than this. And I believe even a couple years ago at the Busan Fantastic Film Festival, they replayed this as one of their great genre films of the past.
Wow.
The public demand, wanted to see that again in the theaters.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. So definitely check this out. This is the way that Korean film combined various genre elements to define the Korean New Wave. There's no better example than Save the Green Planet.
Excellent choice. For my last choice, this film came out in 2006, so it's kind of like the tail end of the Korean New Wave. From here, in my opinion, Korean cinema has been kind of on a decline.
It was a little decline after 2006, 2007.
Yeah. That's when things got a little shaky, but
started going back formulaic.
But I think this kind of culminates what the Korean New Wave was. They kind of executed everything that they learned, and this movie is called Tatse, the High Rollers. Okay?
I wish I had my what to say.
So this is a gambling film, gambling /
Korean gambling.
It's like these hotto cards, and they're playing like
they're little flower cards.
Flower things, and there's so many different versions of how to gamble with these cards. But this is, I think they were called sutta or something like that, where they just get 2 cards, and I don't quite understand what they're doing, but
you gotta make a bigger match or pair.
Yeah, and they gotta slam the cards down. I remember they keep slamming the cards down. Yeah,
confidence.
Right?
If you slam it and win at the same time, it feels so good.
And there's just like a ton of cash.
Piles of money.
And they're just
shoveling it into bags.
Exactly, right? So this is kind of, you get a taste of the Korean underground gambling scene.
Yeah, because gambling is illegal.
Yeah, gambling is definitely illegal in Korea for Korean citizens, and this is like an insight into like what it's like to be part of the Korean underground gambling scene, and then it gets into drama, and then you got some cons going, and
a lot of cons. It's all about the game of deception.
Exactly, right? And it's a great film. It
all-star ensemble cast.
Yeah, I think everyone is famous. Highly recommend this film. It's pretty much, like I said, the culmination of Korean New Wave into this film. Everything that you guys have seen before, like if you watch all our recommendations, should end off with Tatse. It's a 2006 film, so it's pretty much like the tail end. So you will see the development of Korean cinema.
The energy that's in Korean cinema, the style, it just everything is perfect in this one.
Yeah, great film. Oh, but there's a lot of there's a TV show, a spinoff, and there's Tatse 2. Just remember to watch Tatse the High Rollers.
Yeah, there's the first one. The second one I think is called The Hidden Card.
Something like that,
God's
right?
Hand or something.
But remember to watch the Hidden High Rollers.
2006.
2006. Yeah.
Okay, so we hope after you guys watch these 10 Korean films that you'll be ready for pretty much anything that's coming out of Korea today. We do plan on making a follow-up video that's the graduation list from this.
Continuous education.
Yeah.
What was the other
Further
thing?
exploration.
Further exploration. But let's just say, Tyler, Mike, I want more.
Okay.
We're missing something.
Okay.
We're missing one of our favorite genres in Korean film.
Right. If you guys, if you watch these 10 and you can't wait for the next video, and you definitely want to tie a nice little ribbon on top of your Korean New Wave starter pack, that cherry would be what we call, or what everybody calls, the Jopoke comedy.
What's Jopoke comedy?
I guess that would be the term for the Korean mob, but imagine a gangster movie that you were gut-rolling laughing watching. Okay? Not something that you would normally expect, but the Jopoke comedy is about the groups of gangsters, like we said earlier, strength in numbers. So there is, the hierarchy system in these gangster organizations. They're not the brightest people a lot of times. So, but they are in charge of a lot of money, and they wear nice suits, and they get involved in various things, and they have clashes between the factions.
There's a lot of slapping. A lot of people get slapped in these.
A lot of bad language. You can learn all of your Korean bad words from these movies.
Now, the Jokbok films are like a treasure for Korean cinema lovers.
Especially that new wave era.
Mm-hmm.
There were a lot.
There were a lot. I think they're still making these Jokbok films, but it doesn't have the same flavor as the ones,
that time.
The starters, right? Mm-hmm. So we're gonna actually give you our 3 recommendations of what we believe that you guys should start off with these Jokbok films. Let me start off with the first one. The first one that we will recommend is Marrying the Mafia.
Oh, yeah.
Marrying the Mafia. There's Marrying the Mafia 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think maybe even 6 came out. I'm not 100% about the 6th one, but watch the first one. If you like the first one, watch the second and third and fourth.
I think this is the movie where the guy gets engaged to a woman who is the daughter of Korea's biggest crime organization. And it's hilarious.
Oh, wait. And the 3 brothers.
And the brothers. Okay. The brothers are definitely, the in-laws. It's tough.
Yeah. So Marrying the Mafia, number 1.
Yeah, great one. I really I don't know a lot of people that have seen it, but I think it really captures the essence of what the Jopoke film is really well. It's called Kick the Moon. Mm-hmm. When I think of that movie, all I think about is just streets filled with guys carrying sticks and bats coming towards other guys. You've got the track suits. You've got just the infighting. I remember it being hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, all these Jokbok films are hilarious. Yeah. So our number 3 on the list is going to be My Wife is a Gangster. The title says it. My Wife is a Gangster.
It is the other way where the guy marries the girl who's actually the boss.
The girl is the boss, and she's straight gangster. And it's hilarious. Definitely recommend that as well. So those are our 3 bonus picks.
Yeah, one cool thing about Korean gangster movies is pretty much everybody here knows a little Taekwondo, and when I think of a gangster movie and action, we normally in America we usually think of the gunfights, the drive-bys, just blowing everybody away with machine guns. This one is in the streets, jumping, spinning roundhouse kicks to the face. Jumping on top of garbage cans, alleyway, gritty fights, all in suits, and then one person pulls out a knife and makes it real. And then it just starts getting crazy. And then, 1 second later, you're going to be gut-rolling laughing.
Just cracking up.
Yeah. Just, so to blend that high-level action with the comedy, in a gangster movie, visually.
With a cohesive story.
It is one of a kind, and it has to be seen to be believed. So, pick a Chan-wook film to really tie the ribbon on this top 10 list, and let us know what you guys think. And if you think there's another film that would be better to include on a Korean New Wave Starter Pack, let us know, because we probably missed a great one, even though we think this is a pretty comprehensive overall picture to get in. Also,
if you have a film that you started off with, please leave it in the comment down below.
Always curious. Everybody, kind of has their own film that did it for them. So, let us know. We'll be very interested to hear what you guys have. And if you do get through this list and you want more, please stay tuned. We're going to be making our further exploration of Korean cinema, a little deeper into the world, maybe some tougher films, but gonna be good ones. Trust us, it's gonna be good.
It's definitely films that we recommend and we love. The next part.
Don't get too scared, but I might say some names like Kim Ki-duk, Hong Song-soo. Okay, so
he's name dropping.
if that tickles your fancy, stay tuned.
All right, so that's it. Please like and subscribe.
Yeah, and we're going to be trying to make some more of these, recommendation videos. So if there's anything that you guys want us to cover, we'd be more than happy to hear from you. So thanks for watching this far, and enjoy your Korean cinema, and enjoy this wonderful world that we love so much. So thanks, guys.
Peace.
Peace.